What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. Oh, it has been a busy Friday. I am going nuts, but I am happy to find some time for some StarCraft 2 commentary. Today we'll be looking at a series between Empire's Happy and SLiDeR. Yes, that is correct. A series between Happy and SLiDeR. We are on the map Terminus. Over here in the 3 o'clock spawn location, we've got SLiDeR as the red Protoss player. And then right on over here in the 9 o'clock position is Happy as the yellow Terran player. Terran versus Protoss, Happy versus SLiDeR. Starting things off here on Terminus, and yes, once again, this is going to be a series. How's my day been? Oh, nuts. It's been crazy, man. Skyrim came out. Don't know if you heard of it. Pretty highly anticipated game, and if you like RPGs, it's certainly a good one. And I've been very, very busy all day working on content. Also getting ready for the launch of the daily show. We have decided on the name. It is going to be the Force Feed. So yes, the name of the show is the Force Feed, kind of a little play on words. But the main thing is you're going to expect that Monday through Friday. Starting next Monday will be the official launch date of the Force Feed. And we'll be talking about general gaming news, but I think most importantly, it's not just going to be like a gaming news show. I just like read the news off to you. I am really going to try to focus on letting you guys know my personal thoughts and opinions on any recent events in the gaming industry. So, you know, any big announcements to take place and stuff like that, I'll be sure to share with you guys how I feel about them, what I think they mean to yourself as consumers, as gamers, and just as individuals who enjoy gaming. And yeah, that's going to be kind of the main focus of that. And then yeah, again, also been working on all the Skyrim content. The game's a blast. Be sure to check out my Let's Plays if you're interested. I'm also doing guides for that as well. SLiDeR coming out with a incredibly fast expansion, actually on 15 Nexus before his gateway. Certainly pretty dangerous indeed, but I'm guessing he's feeling pretty confident that his opponent Happy here will also be quick expanding. However, if we take a look over here, he does have a refinery up. Now, that does not completely exclude him from coming out with an expansion, but it is certainly not going to be a one-racks, no-gas fast expand. There's certainly no doubt about that, because once more, he does have that refinery up. So we'll have to keep an eye as to what he decides to do here in the early stages, but it does look like he's coming out with a factory right away. So going racks immediately into factory, moving down there with the Marine to stop any scouting pros from getting into his base. Scouting SCV over there, about to move on in to SLiDeR's base, and SLiDeR finally moving out with his scouting probe. Now, there's a moment of truth. Happy moving up. He has scouted out that Nexus. He also sees, wow, that gateway just coming in. We're almost at 4 minutes game time, and that Cybernex core has just been dropped down. So, I mean, that's a clear giveaway at this point. He knows exactly what SLiDeR did. He knows the timing of that Nexus and everything. At least you have to assume he does, being a professional player. So he could exploit that. He could very well exploit that if he so desires, and it seems like he may be. You can see I was thinking maybe, okay, maybe he'll go Rax Factory expand, but we actually have a second refinery getting placed out here for Happy, so Happy is going to continue his way up the tech tree here, going very, very gas heavy early on and staying on one base, and we will have to see whether or not SLiDER's will be able to deal with whatever is thrown at him. Second gateway is now coming through, Cybernex core just finishing. Doesn't yet. There we go. Now finally starting that warp gate research. And again, back over here, we can see the scouting probe. That has been denied. The Marine taking him out, getting the kill. There you go. Happy Marine for Happy. Oh, that's so funny. Not really. Anyway, so Happy now working his way up into starport play. He does have a reactor, as we can see there on the factory. We'll be coming out with some double Hellions early on. Also dropping that tech lab over there for the racks. Two things. He could be using that to put it on the starport to get some Banshees and or a Raven early on, or he could just be sticking with that tech lab for some upgrades for his bio. So again, we will have to see what exactly he has planned, but nevertheless, we do have 2 Hellions moving across the map. He will just be working with those 2 Hellions. He doesn't have any more coming out right now. Tech Lab is in fact going on the starport, and Cloak Banshees will be the name of the game. So there you go. Again, Happy spotting the crazy fast expansion from SLiDeR. Decided to stay in one base and go very quickly for Cloaked Banshees. Now, here's my concern. We have a robotics facility that just finished right now. Now, these Hellions actually able to do quite a bit of damage and be able to sneak their way right on in to the main, and already getting off a few worker kills, sitting with a total of 6 right now. Stalkers trying to chase down those Hellions, but a bit too slow, and with a little bit of micro, getting more and more kills. And the Hellions doing a great job now, sitting at a total of 11 kills. I think that is going to do it. That Hellion is a little bit too low, and at last, Stalker's able to clean up. But 11 worker kills early on. Now, my concern at the moment is that the Cloaked Banshee harass really should not be doing much damage at all. You can see actually canceling off that cloak research, and I'll tell you exactly why. when he moved in with the Hellions and he spotted that robotics up, he's like, you know what, hell no, there's really no way that Cloaked Banshees will do anything at this point in the game. He knew that an observer would have been coming out, and as a result deciding not to get that cloak research. Still finishing that Banshee though, he should still move out with the Banshee harass, and at the same time this will probably even force SLiDeR to get a second observer to sit in his main base just to scout in case the Banshee does have cloak. Expansion now coming up for Happy as he pushes out here with his Banshee. In addition to that, he does have 3 barracks coming out, so he'll be working in a bio-heavy play. Also moving out with a Raven Stimpack research coming on through. Back inside of the main base here for SLiDeR, we basically have Stalkers and an Observer. And that is it, and that is because he is wanting to deal with this Banshee as it comes right on in right now. So Happy trying to move on in, but again, he will not be able to do anything at all. Really not standing a chance against those Stalkers and that Observer, although unnecessary since there is no cloak. That is something that unfortunately SLiDeR does not know. He just does not have that intel, but again, you can see that Stalker fan out, fully able to protect against any possible harass that Banshee may come out with. The Observer has scouted out right now the front of the base of Happy. He basically primarily was scouting that expansion. As you can see, he moved in, realized there was no expo there yet, but as we can see, has now finished. Stimpack research, more and more bio coming out, also starting to work his way up into some medevac play. Trying to move on in right now. Needs to be careful though, that Raven's in play. And that's going to make it a little bit of a headache there, unfortunately, for SLiDeR to actually be able to get any scouting information, and realizing that the Observer is there, actually moving out with those Marines and Raven just to try to catch up, and that's looking a little scary there. The Observer, unfortunately, a bit too slow. Is he going to try to keep up? He's very close. They're able to get a couple shots off, but pulling back, the Observer is now safe, and that should be able to make it back home. Again, realizing that Raven is in play, he says, you know what, no more Observer Scouts. Don't want to lose it. He could probably try to hide it inside of the main, though. That wouldn't be the worst idea. Seen a little transfer of SCVs go down right now as Happy works his way into his natural expansion. Again, Stimpack now finished, Combat Shield coming through. Reactor coming out on a, right there on the starport, actually, so he can go double medevac. And did he get it? I think he did. I do believe he got that Observer. Yes, we're down to just the 1 right now that is inside of the main. The Banshee over here still trying to do some damage, but as we can see, 0 kills at the moment. Moving in. Look at 1 kill already. Nice. Very nice, Banshee. 1 kill, 2 kills. That'll do it. Time to head back home. Stalkers, too threatening there for that Banshee, especially, of course, again, without that cloak. Raven moving with a drop right now, and Happy planning to drop inside of the main with the Raven. Very interesting. Now, one big thing to note, of course, with this is that the Raven will allow him to drop down a point of fence drone, and that will make it, especially given the fact that SLiDeR is so Stalker heavy, that'll make it very difficult for him to actually stop this from doing a bit of damage. And here comes, never mind that point of fence drone, here comes some auto turrets. Bio moving in and stimming up. We'll be dropping down a couple of pylons there. Gonna pylon back here, gonna force the cancel of that, and watch these auto turrets actually able to do a little bit of damage. That is going to be enough of a Stalker force, though, to push him back, and Happy pulling back. The thing is, though, he did some damage and took 0 losses. No losses whatsoever there in that engagement for Happy. Now, you can see in terms of resources lost, SLiDeR quite a bit behind right now, also sitting a supply block due to the force cancel pylon and also losing those 2 pylons. Happy still trying to move back in, realizing, oh, Stalker's there on the protection, going to prevent me from doing so. Banshee still only has 2 kills, but the main point of this right now is that the Banshee here for Happy, once a probe moves down for SLiDeR to attempt a 3rd, the Banshee should get the kill. And yeah, it'll just delay the expansion. That's all it really is. It's just even a slight delay of the expansion. You may say, Force, that seems kind of silly. It's going to delay it by 10 or 15 seconds. Yeah, well, the truth is that delaying an expansion by 10 or 15 seconds in a pro game is actually pretty solid indeed. Now, let's stop focusing on kind of the minor action. Let's focus on the major, the big sweeping strokes here of what's going on. We've got Colossus tech coming out here. First SLiDeR, he's got that Thermal Lance research now. First Colossus in play. Here comes the second Colossus. Back over here inside of the main for Happy. What are we seeing? Well, pretty much exactly what you expect. Bio mixed with Medevacs, Vikings, and Ghost. And that is what you're going to see in TVP. 99.9% of the time, that is the unit composition of choice. And, well, simply because it is so very effective. Happy continuing to dance his way across the map. He is just once more getting scouting information, grabbing the Zelnaga Tower. We'll be able to scout that probe coming out. What he's really looking for was to see if there's a push coming anytime soon. But unfortunately, now that he kills off that probe, that obviously is going to tip SLiDeR off to the fact that there's a Marine down there, and it should allow him to push him back. This should force the Marine to actually go back to this tower, if not head back home, as he sees those forces moving in. Here comes a drop right now on that 3rd expansion, and again, we're talking about delaying expansion he could force the cancel here. Stimmed up bio now, going to town. We've got a couple of Zealots moving down, and that is enough to force him back. A little bit too threatening there, those Zealots, and actually that Colossus coming in right at the end there too. And had that made it down, that would have been a huge headache for Happy, but Happy picking up just in time. In fact, as soon as he saw those Zealots, he said, you know what, probably time to head out of here. Marine did lose his life. Fortunately, Happy wasn't able to pull back with him in time. Happy does have his third coming up, also working his way up into an armory. Let's take a look at upgrades. How are the upgrades looking? Well, we are 0-0 right now for Happy. He's actually just working in those weapons level 1. How about over here for SLiDeR? He is also 0-0, but he's about to be 1-1 in just one moment, getting both the armor and the weapons, the level 1 upgrades at almost the exact same time. So that is just about finished. More and more Colossus Tech finally working his way up into a Templar Archives as well. I'd like to see where that is. I don't really know for sure. There it is. The Templar, what am I talking about? Twilight Council is what that is. He may be working his way up in the Templar Archives, but he isn't quite yet. In fact, now just getting the 2-2 upgrade. So primarily getting that Twilight Council to allow himself to go immediately up to 2-2 upgrades. He's going very, very heavy, strong upgrades early on. This could prove to be very effective right now. Starting to work up that Protoss Death Ball. Both players on 3 bases. Pretty much been a macro-laden game thus far. We're seeing the Air Weapons 1 upgrade come out right now. That, of course, is going to make Happy's Vikings that much more effective at sniping out Colossus. And given the fact that SLiDeR is fairly Colossus heavy, that should help him out a lot. There it is. Finally, the Templar Archives coming out. I called it so early before, way earlier than it actually did happen, and spotting that Marine SLiDeR, trying to chase him down, but he will get picked up hopefully by that medevac. No, he's actually just pulling all the way back here. He's on a patrol route now. Unfortunately, he will be engaged by the Stalker, and he will lose his life as a result. That is not a winning battle there for a single Marine. And yes, still nothing really going on. Marine fanning out over here. Patrol route, just scouting. That is the entire point. Getting scouting information, and another Stalker checking for that. So 2 free Marine kills here for SLiDeR as long as the Stalker moves across. A little bit of mobilization in the center of the map as we are seeing Happy make his way across. Now again, we can see a lot of those upgrades just about to finish at the same time. 2-2 coming through. That's going to be done very soon. We also have some High Templar coming into play with Psionic Storm. Very nice upgrades right now for SLiDeR, and that's a little bit concerning here for Happy. SLiDeR scouting out those forces there and losing that Stalker. He knows what he's up against. There's a scan from Happy directly on top of SLiDER's army. SLiDER will have to be forced to cancel this Expo before it even gets started. There you go, canceling both of those things, getting a little bit of his resources back. Not the full swig of it, but yeah, just a little bit helps. And yes, SLiDER now working his way up. He's got some very nice upgrades. 2-2 at the moment. Charge Zealots almost finished, as well as that Psionic Storm. The longer Happy waits, the worse this situation really gets. That doesn't mean that he's in a terrible full loss situation, though. Just look at his army. Very strong, heavy bio mix with those Ghosts and Vikings in play. I mean, this is just a very solid mix of units here for Happy. And once more, pretty much exactly what you expect in this TVP matchup, and more bio coming out. He himself has just about finished the level 2 weapons upgrade and coming out with the expansion in the center of the map. SLiDER, after being forced to cancel, is deciding to work his way across the map. Now, does he plan to come out with this Expo to coincide with this push, or is it just going to be Proxy Pylon? Looks like he is planning a Proxy Pylon, and he is pushing towards the center of the map. So here it comes, guys. Big engagement finally about to take place. EMP landing on a few of those Zealots and 1 Stalker there. Wasn't too damaging. We do have SLiDER finally working his way up in that expansion again at the exact same time that he's making his way across the map. Charge upgrade is finished. Working on 3-3 upgrades here. SLiDER is, so he's already sitting on those 2-2 as opposed to just the 1-2 here. And here comes the engagement right now. We've got EMPs going down in the center of the map. Stimmed up bio, and oh my gosh, those EMPs plus that stim bio. SLiDER just lost absolutely everything. That is unbelievable. SLiDER got absolutely worked there. Some very impressive EMPs and just stimming up and tearing through SLiDER's army. Unfortunately, SLiDER was not able to stop those Ghosts from EMPing, and now Happy is in a very dominant position. Look at those resources lost. Once again, forced to cancel off his expansion, and now Happy sitting on 4 bases. He's mining happily from the middle of the map, making his way into that natural expansion, at the same time dropping inside of the main with a bio there. And this is not looking good at all for SLiDER. A little bit of a storm action there, the bio walking through, but he has got enough to just continue to muscle through that. A lot of charged Zealots moving down with those Stalkers. Going to be able to force this bio back, actually. And SLiDER should be okay out front there, but at the same time, here's the drop in the main, doing quite a bit of damage. Forced to lift off again. Those upgrades really shining at the moment here for SLiDeR. SLiDeR able to defend, moving his way now for a counterattack. He's sitting pretty charged zealot heavy at the moment. More and more charged zealots coming in. We've got another drop coming down over here. Those charged zealots able to quickly deal with that. Couple stalkers as well, able to take that out. But again, SLiDeR took some very heavy damage. You can see he is still quite significantly behind in terms of resources lost. Now, unfortunately, that center engagement was very one-sided in favor of Happy. SLiDeR forced to push back, but again, was able to defend primarily, I'm going to say, due to those upgrades. He had just some phenomenal upgrades, upgrading very, very early on. One Ghost trying to move forward and land an EMP and or sniping some of those High Templar, was unable to do so. A little bit of miss micro there. We have an Observer Scout over here, so at the moment, SLiDeR knows what he's up against, but one big problem is that more and more time that goes on, SLiDeR is falling very far behind economically. He really needs to do some damage, and this is going to be a very important engagement. Here comes those charged zealots. Stalkers in the back. One Colossus gets dropped very quickly. Those charged zealots fully upgraded. Very difficult for that battle to deal with, but with Concussive Shell and Stim Pack able to try to micro away just a little bit, but those charged zealots are still alive, and they are still coming. The Stalkers in the back. He is going to be relentless right now. SLiDeR actually pushing back as those zealots start to get a little low in terms of their shields. Wants to buy a little bit of time to recharge there. So SLiDeR now moving to the center of the map. The issue is that Happy has been mining from over here for a very, very long time. Want to take a quick look, see if there's any Dark Templar or anything funny going on. No, it does not look like that is the case. I'm not seeing any additional drops moving out as well. We've got a patrolling Marine over there, another patrolling Marine over here. 2 expansions moving out at the moment for Happy. But at the same time, here comes a push. Charged Zealots and a couple of High Templar over here. Some High Templar and Charged Zealots, as well as Archons over here. Trying to spread out those High Templar are going to be very important against those EMPs. Charged Zealots now moving into the expansion. We got Archons there on the front, providing a buffer against that bio. There's a scan. Zealots working their way through this expansion, and SLiDeR needs to be careful right now. Bio stimming up. He's got a very nice concave at the moment. Charged Zealots trying to move forward. Not enough, though. There's just too much bio at the moment. Happy easily able to defend, and we're going to expect that counterattack right now in response as he mops up everything that SLiDeR has. Very back and forth engagements, and there is the GG from SLiDeR. All right, my friends, game number 1 going to Happy as he's able to defend the constant back and forth between him and SLiDeR. Happy was able to come out on top with some nicely placed EMPs and the strength of that stimmed up bio against Gateway Heavy. He did not deal with too many storms. I think that is actually something that unfortunately SLiDeR was not able to do. Wasn't able to land very effective storms, especially once dealing with those EMPs draining his High Templar. That was game number 1. Moving on to game 2 in just a moment. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.